So it's an important day. It's a change, but for you, it's not change enough. Just explain.
So as of today, there's something called data preservation notices, which gives the coroner the right to preserve the data. So they'd have to go to Ofcom to preserve online social media data. I spoke to two new bereaved parents last night who are in this position. The police are... What happens when an inquest happens is the inquest is opened and usually suspended and handed back to the police for investigation. The problem is the police are then saying, well, we don't have the power to do that, and the coroner's not in control, so they can't use that law. So it seems ridiculous. Unless it's automatic, then the coroners can't use that law, and then we're waiting months or potentially years. I spoke to one parent yesterday, and their daughter, BB, died in July 24, and they still haven't had the data. And they can't use the law because the coroner's not in control.
And there is this awful window of time, isn't there, where you do need to act and try and preserve the data, otherwise you might lose it forever. And the last thing on a parent's mind, particularly at that point, is thinking, I need to try and keep hold of that data. You just can't.
You're not functioning. You are just not functioning. So this whole thing about whether a parent could... So we're involved with Ofcom as well, and we've got a meeting this afternoon on it, about how the parents, what information they might be asking for. You're barely breathing. So I remember crawling up the stairs at that time, my hands and knees. Literally, you're not functioning. And I certainly was not the person I am now to be able to fight, to say, oh, I think you should ask for this. You're just not that person. It needs to be automatic.
And of course, you never know at what point you might need that information in the future. You might be looking for answers immediately, but it might be years later that something you become aware of, which you then want to see it.
Correct. And if you don't need it, you don't need it. Just, I've always said, like a toxicology report. They did a blood and alcohol test on Jules. There's no alcohol or drugs in his body, but they did it, and they didn't need it. But I do think if they preserve the data, the thing that bothers me is that there's not enough training for police and coroners as well. So the coroner needs to understand what information to ask for. Well, do all coroners know how TikTok works or other apps that kids are using, or what information to ask from Snapchat? And so Ofcom need to help the coroner understand what information to request.
And also, there is a sense, isn't there, that we're not keeping up with children and their use of technology in lots of ways, because I know lots of parents find out after their child has died that their child has been on lots of different apps or websites or forums, and there might be nothing sinister in that. They might have lots of different accounts. They might not even know their usernames.
Yeah.
It's just...
That's exactly that. I didn't know Jules had 3 different accounts. The police didn't uncover he had 3 different accounts. And so, I mean, it's just a minefield. There's other apps that come out, which I only found out about a few months ago. There's one called LMK, and I was like, what on earth's that? And it's Let Me Know, where people can talk to strangers online. Nice and safe. And so I know of a child that was on that site, and she's unfortunately taken her life. And I didn't even know that was exist. I don't know whether Jules had that account. I didn't know what it was. So I think there should be a standard process. When a child dies, it's automatic. They should go out to the top 50 social media companies or a set number and say, what data do you have? There's his email, his phone number, and preserve it. And if they don't need it, at least it's done. It's there.
It's 3 years ago that you lost Jules. What is the situation with his data? Is there any chance now that you can get access to that?
I'm still planning to go to the High Court. I actually have been contacted by a senior investigating officer, ex-police, and there's 2 of them that are helping me, because they said to me, well, who's helping you with the police? And I said, I'm trying to figure it out myself. And a wonderful barrister who's offered, Harry Lambert, who's offered to act pro bono for me. So we're just piecing together what information was missing. Then we do still a plan to, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, apply to the Attorney General and the High Court. And this law won't help me, but I can use the Online Safety Act 101, Section 101, to request his data if I can get through the High Court, which I'm going to try.
And what difference might that make for you?
I think I'm 3.5 years down the line, and I could get emotional now, but I don't know why my child's not here. And I want to try for answers. And I think as a parent, I should have the right to try to look at social media. And I get we may be too late now, and this law will help other parents, which is great. But I want to try to understand what happened to my son.
I know from when I came out to New York with you, with those other parents as well, for that campaign, how much unity there is among you as a group. I mean, can you just explain to people watching this morning, and I know a lot of them massively appreciate the work that you're all doing on all of their behalf, but your life today is, I mean, how much time are you spending devoting for this?
Hours. My dad often says to me, you know, the hours you have spent on this, because it's constant. It's speaking to politicians. I've been in touch with Beeban Kidron, who's massive with the Online Safety Act, and expressed my concerns to her. I just think this is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. And as a parent, I'm doing this. Well, this law doesn't help me, but it will help other parents. And going forward, if I'm successful at the High Court, it could help the people that you met in New York that also want answers. This is not just for me. This is for every bereaved parent that should not be in my position.
Ellen, thank you so much for coming in today. And we will, of course, keep in touch and find out what happens in that High Court battle. Thank you.
Thank you.